For a long time, it looked like Jennifer Hudson and Common were the real deal. The kind of couple that made people believe in second chances, divine timing, and grown-up love. Two successful, respected artists. Two people who had already been through heartbreak. And two souls who claimed they had finally found peace in each other. But as we've seen time and time again in Hollywood, what looks perfect on the outside often hides a much messier truth underneath. Because behind the smiles, the interviews, and the public praise, something wasn't adding up. And when things finally reached a turning point, the relationship didn't collapse quietly, it unraveled with tension, hurt feelings, and unanswered questions that fans are still trying to piece together. Let's rewind. Common has never been shy about how he views relationships. In multiple interviews over the years, he's admitted that love can feel like a distraction to him. He's openly said that when he's deeply involved with someone, his creativity takes a hit. His focus shifts. His work suffers. In his own words, relationships sometimes interfere with his art. That alone raised eyebrows. Because when a man tells you he doesn't make his best albums while he's in love, what he's really saying is that commitment comes at a cost, and he's not always willing to pay it. So when Common and Jennifer Hudson went public, many people were cautiously optimistic. They wanted to believe this was different. That Common had finally matured. That Jennifer had found a partner who was ready to show up fully. And at first, everything he said made it sound exactly like that. Common spoke glowingly about Jennifer. He called the relationship healthy, beautiful, and grounded in faith. He talked about putting God first. About communication. About learning from past failures. About therapy, growth, and emotional responsibility. He said all the right things. He even went as far as saying that if he were ever going to get married, it would be to her. That statement alone sent fans into a frenzy. Because Common had dated some of the most powerful and accomplished women in Black Hollywood, and yet he was publicly declaring that Jennifer Hudson was the one. Or so it seemed. Behind the scenes, insiders claim the relationship took a sharp and unexpected turn when marriage became more than just a hypothetical idea. According to multiple whispers from people close to the situation, Common eventually decided to take the next step. He popped the question, expecting excitement, joy, and a yes. Instead, he got something he wasn't prepared for. Jennifer Hudson reportedly said no. And that single word changed everything. Sources allege that Common felt blindsided and embarrassed. In his mind, they were aligned. He believed they were moving toward the same future. He thought the proposal would be a celebration, not a rejection. Some insiders even claim he felt like his time had been wasted. But here's where the story gets complicated. Because Jennifer Hudson is not a woman who rushes into anything, especially marriage. After going through a painful divorce and a long, complicated engagement in her past, Jennifer has been very clear about one thing: marriage has never been her ultimate dream. And if she ever considered it again, she would do so with extreme caution. She's lived through red flags before. And this time, she wasn't willing to ignore them. Especially not when it came to a man with Common's history. And that history? It's long before Jennifer. Common had been romantically linked to Erykah Badu, Serena Williams, Tiffany Haddish, Taraji P. Henson, Angela Rye, and several others. He built a reputation as a man who loves powerful, successful women, but struggles to stay when things get serious. Time after time, the pattern looked the same: intense beginnings, public admiration, and then a quiet exit when commitment entered the conversation. So when Jennifer Hudson entered the picture, many fans were surprised. Their relationship began after working together on the film Breathe. The chemistry reportedly grew during filming, and by 2022, they were spending a lot of time together. Jennifer, as usual, tried to keep things private. She downplayed the rumors. She insisted people were creating their own narratives. She reminded everyone that they had played husband and wife in a movie, and that sometimes co-stars simply form friendships. But fans weren't buying it. especially when the two continued to be spotted together long after filming wrapped. Common flew to London to support Jennifer at the premiere of her musical A Strange Loop. And let's be honest, you don't cross continents for someone who's just a casual friend. Eventually, the truth came out. Common appeared on the Jennifer Hudson show and finally confirmed what everyone already suspected: they were together. And not just together, deeply involved. He praised her beauty, her intelligence, her faith, her talent. He joked about how high his standards were. He made it clear that this wasn't a fling. At that moment, the public believed this relationship was solid. Unshakable. But what fans didn't realize was that the biggest test was still ahead. Because loving someone publicly is one thing. Building a future with them is something else entirely. And when the conversation shifted from romance to permanence, everything began to fall apart. The pattern everyone ignored, and the red flags Jennifer couldn't unsee. By the time Jennifer Hudson and Common confirmed their relationship publicly, the excitement was real, but so were the concerns. Because while fans wanted to believe this love story was different, many couldn't ignore one uncomfortable truth. Common's relationship history had a pattern. And patterns don't lie. For years, Common has openly admitted that he is drawn to strong, successful, independent women. Women who are powerful in their own right. Women who don't need him, and that's exactly what attracts him. But according to people who have watched his love life unfold, that same independence eventually becomes the very thing that drives him away. Common himself has said he loves the honeymoon phase. The excitement. The inspiration. The feeling of being deeply connected without pressure. But once the relationship starts moving toward permanence, living together, long-term plans, marriage, something shifts. That's usually when he pulls back. And unfortunately, Jennifer Hudson was not the first woman to experience this. Let's talk about Tiffany Haddish. When Common and Tiffany started dating, they were everywhere. Red carpets. Interviews. Social media moments. They even talked about how their relationship felt refreshing and grown. But when it ended, Common tried to paint the breakup as mutual and peaceful. Tiffany told a very different story. She later revealed that the breakup was one-sided, and that she was dumped over the phone. No long conversation. No deep closure. Just a sudden ending that left her hurt and blindsided. That revelation made a lot of people look at Common differently. Because it wasn't just about Tiffany. It was about how often the women he dated walked away feeling confused, discarded, or emotionally unprepared for the exit. So when Jennifer Hudson entered the picture, the warnings came quickly. Fans and insiders alike were saying the same thing. Be careful. Don't move too fast. Watch the signs. Jennifer had already been through enough. Her past engagement was long, complicated, and painful. She had invested nearly a decade of her life into a relationship that ultimately ended in heartbreak. On top of that, she had endured emotional trauma that left lasting scars. Marriage, for Jennifer, was no longer a fairy tale. It was a risk. And this time, she wasn't willing to ignore her instincts. Sources close to Jennifer say she always had doubts, even when things looked good on the surface. She paid attention to how Common talked about his past. She noticed how quickly things escalated emotionally. And she questioned whether he was truly ready for the kind of stability she would require. Because here's the thing about Jennifer Hudson. She's not desperate for love. She has built an incredible career. She's overcome unimaginable loss. She's grown into a woman who values peace over passion and stability over excitement. So when Common allegedly proposed, it wasn't the romantic surprise he expected. Yes, it caught her off guard. But it also forced her to confront questions she wasn't ready to answer with a ring. According to insiders, Jennifer didn't say no because she didn't love him. She said no because she wasn't convinced the foundation was strong enough. She reportedly feared that Common wasn't fully done with his old ways. That his reputation wasn't just gossip, it was earned. And that once the thrill wore off, she could end up exactly where so many women before her had ended up. Heartbroken. Starting over. Again. So instead of rushing into another commitment, Jennifer chose caution. She wanted time. She wanted consistency. She wanted proof. But that decision didn't sit well with Common. People close to him say he was genuinely shocked by her response. In his mind, the relationship had reached its natural next step. He thought they were aligned. He thought marriage was already understood. Some even claim that he felt embarrassed, like his vulnerability had been rejected. And while Jennifer believed she was protecting herself, Common reportedly saw it as a lack of trust. That tension changed everything. What was once public praise slowly turned into distance. The energy shifted. The closeness faded. And the relationship that once looked unbreakable suddenly felt fragile. Fans began to notice. Less appearances together. Fewer mentions. No more glowing interviews. Something had clearly gone wrong. But instead of a dramatic breakup announcement, the situation lingered in silence, leaving everyone to speculate. Was this just a rough patch? Or was this the beginning of the end? Because if history tells us anything, when Common feels misunderstood or challenged, he doesn't fight to stay. He walks away. And Jennifer Hudson knew that. Which is why her decision may have saved her from becoming another chapter in someone else's pattern, instead of the author of her own future. The proposal fallout, hurt egos, silent distance, and a relationship already unraveling. By the time word started leaking about the proposal, the relationship between Jennifer Hudson and Common was no longer what it once appeared to be. On the surface, nothing had been officially confirmed or denied. But behind closed doors, insiders say the energy had completely shifted. Because when Jennifer Hudson said no, it wasn't just a rejection of a ring. It was a rejection of timing, expectations, and, in Common's mind, alignment. According to people close to the situation, Common truly believed the proposal would be a defining moment in their love story. He assumed that Jennifer shared his vision of what came next. He expected excitement, tears, celebration, and an engagement announcement to follow. Instead, he walked away feeling exposed. Sources claim Common felt humiliated, not because Jennifer didn't love him, but because he felt she should have seen it coming. In his mind, the conversations they'd had, the public declarations, and the way he'd spoken about marriage all pointed in one direction. He thought they were on the same page. Jennifer, however, saw things very differently. To her, the proposal felt rushed, not romantic. It felt like pressure rather than progression. And after everything she'd survived in her personal life, pressure was the last thing she was willing to accept. So instead of giving in to the moment, she stood her ground. That decision, according to insiders, created an emotional rift that never fully healed. Because rather than stepping back and trying to understand her hesitation, Common allegedly took it personally. He felt rejected, disrespected, and possibly even played. Some sources go as far as saying he believed Jennifer had led him on, that she enjoyed the relationship but never intended to move forward the way he wanted, but those who know Jennifer insist that couldn't be further from the truth. Jennifer has always been intentional. She doesn't move blindly. She doesn't commit without certainty. And she doesn't sacrifice her peace to meet someone else's timeline. Especially not for a man whose past suggests he might walk away the moment things get uncomfortable. After the proposal incident, fans began noticing subtle changes. Jennifer stopped mentioning Common in interviews. Their public appearances together became rare. The warmth that once defined their interactions seemed to cool almost overnight. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. But it was noticeable. And while neither of them spoke openly about what went wrong, the silence spoke volumes. Insiders say the relationship entered a strange limbo, not officially over, but no longer moving forward. Conversations became strained. Emotional distance grew, and the sense of partnership slowly faded. Jennifer, according to sources, felt she had done the right thing for herself, even if it meant losing someone she cared about. Common, on the other hand, reportedly struggled with resentment. In his mind, he had finally decided to settle down. He had chosen her. And when she didn't choose him back, at least not in the way he expected, it bruised his ego. Some believe that moment triggered a familiar response. Withdrawal. Instead of fighting for clarity, he began pulling away. Instead of rebuilding trust, he emotionally checked out. And instead of meeting Jennifer where she was, he reverted to what he's always done when things get complicated. He dipped. Fans who had supported the relationship started asking questions. Why did things change so fast? Why did the fairy tale end without explanation? And why did it feel like Jennifer was being quietly pushed into the same narrative as the women before her? But here's where the story takes a turn. Because unlike past relationships, Jennifer Hudson didn't walk away broken or confused. She didn't beg. She didn't chase. And she didn't try to rewrite herself to keep someone else comfortable. She chose herself. And that's why many fans believe she saw the ending before it fully arrived. She recognized the signs. The emotional distance. The shift in communication. The familiar pattern repeating itself. And instead of waiting to be blindsided, she mentally prepared herself for the outcome. As rumors about trouble in Jennifer Hudson and Common's relationship began to circulate, the public reaction was split. Some people were shocked. Others said they saw it coming a mile away. Because when you looked closely, the signs had been there all along. At first, fans expected one of them to clear the air. A statement. An interview. Something to explain what went wrong. But instead, there was silence. No denials. No confirmations. Just distance. And in Hollywood, silence is often the loudest answer. Jennifer Hudson, in particular, began moving differently. She shifted her focus inward. Her interviews became more guarded. When asked about love or relationships, she spoke in general terms, never mentioning Common by name. That wasn't an accident. Jennifer has always been intentional with her words. So when she stopped speaking about the relationship entirely, many fans took that as a sign that whatever had happened left a lasting impact. Meanwhile, Common continued doing what he does best, talking about growth, healing, and spirituality without addressing the situation directly. He framed his experiences as lessons rather than losses. To some, that sounded mature. To others, it sounded like avoidance. Because there was still one major issue hanging in the air. Why did things fall apart so quickly after he talked so confidently about marriage? Many fans began revisiting old interviews, old patterns, and old relationships, and the similarities were hard to ignore. Once again, Common had spoken passionately about love. Once again, he had made public promises. And once again, when reality required consistency instead of words, the relationship didn't survive. That's why a growing number of people began shifting their perspective. Instead of asking, why didn't Jennifer say yes? They started asking, why did Common rush to propose? Some believe the proposal wasn't just about love, it was about reassurance. A way to lock things in before deeper doubts surfaced. A way to prove he was serious without actually doing the long-term emotional work. And Jennifer saw right through that. She had already lived through a relationship where time, promises, and hope didn't lead to lasting security. She had already invested years into something that ultimately fell apart. This time, she refused to repeat the cycle. Fans noticed that Jennifer didn't spiral publicly. She didn't throw shade. She didn't hint at bitterness. Instead, she leaned into her career, her purpose, and her peace. That alone spoke volumes. Because women who are heartbroken tend to explain themselves. Women who are certain tend to move on quietly. And Jennifer Hudson moved on with grace. Public opinion slowly began to shift in her favor. Comments flooded social media praising her for choosing herself. People applauded her for not becoming another name in Common's dating history. Others pointed out that Common's desire to marry quickly felt less like destiny and more like habit. As one fan put it, he didn't want a wife. He wanted a retirement plan. Harsh? Maybe. But to many, it felt accurate, because commitment isn't about asking the question, it's about staying after the answer. And when the answer wasn't what he expected, Common didn't stay. That realization changed how people viewed the entire relationship. It wasn't a tragic love story. It was a moment of clarity. Jennifer Hudson didn't lose a partner. She dodged a future that didn't feel right. And Common? He walked away once again, carrying lessons he's talked about many times, but may not have fully learned. Still, the story wasn't completely over. Because one final question remained unanswered. Is this truly the end? Or is there still unfinished business between them?